Om Namo Loe Sarvatrika Varti Aryantanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrika Varti Siddhanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrika Varti Ayaryanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrika Varti Uvajjayanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrika Varti Savanam. Omkaram Bindu Sanyuktam Nityam Dayanti Yoginam Kamadam Moksadam Chaiva Omkaraya Namo Namo Namah Samaysaraya Swanubhutya Chakasate Chitsabhavaya Bhavaya Sarva Bhavantarachide Agnana Timira Andanam Gnana Anjana Salakaya Chaksuram Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah Tirthankaro Jagatana Jayvantavarto Omkaranada Jinano Jayvantavarto Jinana Samo Sarana Sao Jayvantavarto Netirthachara Jagama Jayvantavarto Namo Tirthanayakane Namo Omkaranadane Omkara Sangaryotene Namo Te Sri Kunda Kundane Aho Upakara Jinavarano Kundano Dhvani Divyano Jina Kunda Dhvani Apya Aho Te Guru Kanano Aho Te Bhagavati Matano Dhruva Achalane Anupama Gati Pamela Sarve Siddhane Vande Kahum Sutta Kevali Bhasita Asamaya Prabhrata Are Om Eka Suddha Sada Arupi Jnana Darasanamay Khare Kai Anyate Maru Jari Paramanu Matra Nathiyare Jam Netra Te Maj Jnana Nathi Karak Nathi Vedak Are Jane Jakar Moday Nirajara Bandate Maj Mokshane Om Namah Siddhebhyo Om Namah Siddhebhyo Om Sri Sudatmane Namaha Jai Jendra. Today is a May 9th, 2018, Wednesday, and we are continuing our discussion on Samaysar, and we are on 13th stanza. And we were at certain point, we were left out last time, so I'll bring it from there and a little bit recapitulation, and then we'll start for our today's class. Slideshow. Okay. So main thing in 13th stanza, Acharya Dev wants us to know is to absolutely know the right nature of all these 9 elements. One has to know really the real nature of all those things. Once we understand, then he's going to tell us what to do next. So quickly, what we have done so far is we have come up to here in which a mode, deluding mode, or any given mode occurring, and at the time there are two elements are playing part. Two entities are playing part. One is a soul having the mode which is called eligibility of the mode to go into the deluding state. So word eligibility is important over here. For soul's mode, there is a eligibility. And for matter's mode, it's called doer. The eligibility and doer, they combine together, and we are seeing the express deluding mode, express mode of any kind, express mode of a rag and dvesh, or express mode of a right faith, express mode of a omniscient knowledge, etc., etc. So pure or impure mode can be seen with the combination of these two guys, the soul's mode having the eligibility and the matter's mode is called doer. Actually, this is not a doer. It cannot do anything. But this eligibility of the mode in the soul is there since time infinite. Only thing, it is not been expressed. It is sitting within the soul without any expression. But now, when it's getting its own birth time, that mode is coming out, and that is its eligibility to come at that particular time. And when it's coming at that time, on the matter side, karma particle acts as an instrumental cause, auxiliary cause, instrumental cause, and because of that instrumental cause being present, this eligibility of the mode get expressed in the form of deluding mode. So for the express mode, we need two guys. One is a eligibility of the mode from the soul, and other one is the doer of that act. And doer, as we said, doer is been blamed to be a doer because in its presence, this mode is getting expressed. So that's why it's called doer, because when the instrumental cause was not there, eligibility is present in the soul substance, remaining there from time infinite in the past. And even when this samay, when this one moment, this reaction lasting for one moment, it passes away, then this eligibility of the mode gets back into the soul and it stays there forever. Just like the ocean having the wave, and wave after wave after wave after wave, big wave, small wave, little wave, all kind of tsunami and all. So all those things will come. So wave is coming, but ultimately when the wave breaks, it goes back into the ocean. So same way here, the eligibility of the mode and doer combined together, there is express mode, and once that expression is done, then this eligibility of the mode goes back to the soul, just like the wave goes back to the ocean. So we understood that part, and from that part onwards, we already went last week in great detail about all the 9 reals from soul's perspective and from matter's perspective. So what is a inclination auspicious inclination? Then eligibility of that mode to be in the auspicious inclination state, and then auspicious karma fruition becomes the doer, and combined together auspicious inclination mode is seen, and so is an inauspicious inclination mode, and so is the inflow mode. Inflow means eligibility of that mode to be the inflow state, and at the time karma particle goes into this specific karma state, and combined together they are making the inflow mode. And then we just talked about bondage, we talked about stoppage and shading and liberation. So we have gone through that one. So having on that background, now what do we have to learn here? What we are doing? Okay. Okay. Am I frozen? Okay, yes. We have gone through this the kind of thing exhaustively, and we are not going to touch that one now. We already know that part. We also saw from the karma perspective what happens. We also saw from the soul's perspective what happens. Now we just said flour needs to be prepared first to make a bread. To make a chapati, to make a roti, we have to have flour needs to be prepared first. Then similarly, one needs to prepare his knowledge to know above mentioned nature of 9 reals in details. I want to know the 9 reals in absolute form. So for that, I need to have the knowledge, and now I get knowledge, so I know how inflow is produced, how bondage is produced, how stoppage and shading and liberations are produced. All those things now that I have known through my knowledge. Now, soul's mode come from the soul by having own eligibility to be in that particular form, be it impure, partial pure, or completely pure. That is its own eligibility. It was supposed to happen that we will be meeting tonight, right now, at this hour. So it was happened. Let's say it was already predetermined. I mean, we have decided that we are going to make it, but suppose something else happens. Suppose my computer is not working. Suppose the electricity went out. Suppose I became sick. Suppose I'm tied up somewhere. Or likewise on your side also. So it was supposed to be that particular time, that particular event was to happen. And that's why you and me are present right now. So that is the soul's mode coming by having its own eligibility. I had that eligibility to be in the class today, period. That's way. Same thing happened to you also. Now, at that time when soul's mode has an eligibility, material karma's present or absent work as instrumental cause. Remember last week we went through it, that the karma's presence, that means I have an auspicious inclination, and on the other side, on the karma, there is auspicious karma fruition present. I have inauspicious inclination occurring within me, and on the other side of the fence, the inauspicious karma waiting in the fruition state. So both those things are there. So those are the karmas present. Now, when I am in the stoppage section, means when I have beginning of purity occurs within me, beginning of purity occurs within me, that is my psychic stoppage. And at that time, on this karma side, absence of karma fruition, no, absence of new karma bondage occurring. So new karma, they don't come when I am in my innate state. So those are two separate things. Means karma's not coming became the instrumental cause. Then the purity within me is increasing by leaps and bounds. When purity keeps on increasing proportionately, inversely proportionately, karma gets dissipated from me. That's because there's an absence of karma. Ultimately, when I have complete purity within me, then there is a complete absence of any karma. So presence or absence of karma acting as an instrumental cause. That also we understood very well. So now, first one, so what is the process now? Now we say all these things. What's the process now? Process is once I had to know the real nature of nine reals. As we said, that it is a surprise because these are the things never been taught to us in a Pathshala class. And that both example is given from karma perspective, but we never looked at it from soul's perspective. Now I know what soul's perspective is. Now I know what's the real nature of the nine reals. So now I know that part. Now, now here I also know that these are my modes. Auspicious inclination, inauspicious inclination, psychic inflow, psychic stoppage, psychic setting, psychic liberation. All those things are the modes. Modes are lasting for one samay only, one moment only. Once knowing this fact that these are my modes, I have to accept that fact that the modes are occurring within me. Karma are bystander. Karma are so I don't have to pay attention to the karma. Yes, the presence is there. I have to accept the presence, but my attention is not there. I make them secondary. Now, let's say that I like certain kind of food. I mean, you talked about that food, and I go crazy. I mean, that kind of affinity I have that particular type of food. But now, let's say that I have a heart attack and I'm in the hospital, and somebody brings that kind of food. Oh, take this one, sir. You love it. You like it. Take it away. Take it away. I don't care about it. I want it because my attention is away from there. My attention is over here with my heart, with my health and everything. Same way, when I know it, all my nine reals and my own soul structure and everything, Now I'm getting engrossed here. So this innocent bystander standing over here in the form of karma fruition, absence of presence of karma as a instrumental cause, I make them secondary and I pay my attention over here. So I bring my attention away from these 9 reals in the form of 9 modes, because first I've taken my attention away from the instrumental cause. Now I'm taking my attention away from my 9 real modal formation also. So now where is my good instrumental cause? I took them away. My modal state, I'm just making them secondary. What else is remaining for me? My eternal soul substance remains. So now I'm bringing my attention, focus on the true nature of the eternal soul substance, which is there permanently forever and ever and ever, and it's permanently pure forever. So I put the attention to that one. And once I put the attention to that one, then then at that time I realized that eternal soul substance is entirely different from the modal form. Eternal soul substance is eternal, it is pure. Mode is transient in the phase. It may be pure, it may be impure, it can be partially pure, whatever. So there are two different things that I can understand those things. Now with attention to the soul substance, one ends up getting right faith. So what is the process? How can I get into Samyak Darshan? How can I get right faith? How can I get souls experiencing? How can I get the self-realization? So these are the, one has to know the 9 reals in their own real nature. What does that mean? Again, quickly, we have gone through that. It means, let's say that I am doing some kind of a donation right now, or I'm doing some kind of austerity right now, or I'm going to the temple and I do the puja and abhishek right now, or I'm doing intense swadhyaya and everything. What I'm thinking at the time, I may be mistaken to say that I'm doing religious activity, and these are the activity: giving donation, doing swadhyaya, going to temple, helping the temple out and all kind of things. All those auspicious activity which I'm doing it, auspicious activity I'm doing, and I think I'm doing the shading and stoppage and shading of the karma by doing this activity. In fact, this is an auspicious activity. It's an auspicious element. Now I mix that auspicious element with that stoppage element, and that is my mistake. That does not mean I should not do the auspicious activity. Auspicious activity, I have to do it. They are in their own importance, they are there. But because of doing this auspicious, let's say I did a fasting for 1 day, no, do 2 days, no, I did for 4 days, no, I did for 8 days, I did for 16 days, one month. So they are auspicious activity. But if I think that because of that thing, I'm getting this shading and stoppage and shading of our karma, etc., that is my mistake, because I'm mixing up two elements together. So these are the things I have to keep in mind. So I have to know the true nature of all the real elements to start with, and then I can progress ultimately to get a right faith. Now, in all knower soul substance, there are no divisions perceived. Now it is saying that, okay, I have understood the 9 reals in 9 elements in their natural form. Now that I know the 9 reals in the natural form, now what happens next? Then it says the 9 reals that I perceive, they are in the modal state. Their modes means transient in nature, and they are also to be put as a secondary event within my understanding. And primary event I have to look for is to have eternal soul substance, that where I am going to rest myself. I'm going to rest my attention to eternal soul substance. So soul substance, there are no divisions perceived. Soul is a indivisible substance. It is there since time infinite. It will remain for time infinite. And so they are the eternal soul is a pure also, is unique also, inseparable. It's a indivisible. It has an infinite attributes and modes remaining in the unison. They cannot make the divisions out of it. So there are no divisions per se. Soul by itself is not able to create all 9 reals. What does it mean? Of course, these modes are present in the soul with their own eligibility. Soul substance, soul as an indivisible substance, just for first bullet. That soul substance is by itself is not able to create the 9 reals. Itself is not able to generate the mode. Modes are coming by their own birth time. They have mind of their own. They have the eligibility of their own. They have the birth time of their own, and they will come accordingly. This is my house. Or let's say this is a country. We can just say that this is a USA we are living in. And there is a government, and government has a rules and regulations. Government is just like a soul substance. I'm like a mode within that a whole governmental structure. Government has made rules and regulations. As long as I, as a citizen, follow the rules and regulation, understand the limitation of the country, understand the rules and regulation of this country, then I have my own individuality. I have my own rights. Nobody can take away my rights. For example, if the government came out and just said this is a food pyramid, and you have to eat so much protein, so much carbohydrates, so much fat, so much minerals, etc., etc., etc. And in the protein and everything, they say you have to eat so much meat, so many eggs, so much fish. Now, in my home, I am independent. As long as I'm working into the framework of the government and I'm the law-abiding citizen, I'm paying taxes, I don't do any crime and everything, then government cannot come and force me to do my way. They cannot say, this is the way you have to do it. You have to eat so much eggs, meats, and fish and everything, which I just say, go fly kite, because I don't care about it. Because as long as I'm a decent citizen, I'm paying taxes, I'm a law-abiding citizen, then you can't force me to do those things. Similarly, the soul substance says, hey, Paryay, you are living under my jurisdiction. So Paryay says, okay, I'm living under your jurisdiction. I understand not to go outside the boundary of the soul, not to go outside the space point of the soul, not to go outside the attributes of the soul. As long as Paryay says I'm following those things, now I have my individual rights that I can do whatever I want. Whenever I want to come, I can come. If I don't want to come, I don't want to come. I want to come as a pure mode, I want to come as a partial pure mode, I want to come as an impure mode. That is my way of working. That's what Paryay is saying. So, of course, these modes are present in the soul with their own eligibility. The eligibility of the mode is not decided by the soul substance. Mode by itself decides that eligibility. Now, what happens? That mode with its own eligibility decided to come as a rag form, in inclination of attachment form. That mode decided to come in that form. At that time, instrumental cause in the form of karma fruitions joins this eligibility of a given mode, then both together end up making division of 9 reals, means now they have expression of that mode occurs. Eligibility of the mode is sitting into the soul substance. The instrumental cause it is sitting in the instrumental section, but when they both occur at the certain time, same time, then the express mode occurs, and that express mode could be any of the 9 reals. It could be auspicious event, inauspicious event, inflow, bondage, stoppage, shading, or liberation moment. So those are the things happens because of mode. Now, with soul alone, there is no divisions of 9 reals perceived within. If we go to the soul alone, it's a indivisible, it's a eternal, it's a unique, it has no divisions of any kind. Let's take a strip of gold. A piece of gold is there. I have an almost pure gold with me. It's closest is 99 point certain thing, but let's say pure gold is there with me. Now, in that pure gold, it's a gold, is a gold, is a gold, period. There is no changes there right now. But within that gold, there are modes present. So one mode is in the form of a ring, and I didn't like it. So if we broke it, and that ring, gold from the ring went into the gold. Then I took a necklace. I created necklace. I didn't like it. I broke it, and so that the gold from the necklace went back to gold. So same way, all these things are there. But the gold itself doesn't say that I have all these modes. So soul as an eternal soul substance does not perceive any 9 reals or anything. Those are the individuality of any given mode by mode's own doing. So now this one gives the importance of independence of the mode and independence as a substance. The whole Jain philosophy is resting on the pillar of independence. You know, Acharya Bhagavan has given us the information, and from that information we know it, that any philosophy of the world that we can compare to, there is no independence of substance the way it is described in the Jain philosophy. If you just say that this country is a country of a democratic country and everybody is independent, everybody has their own rights and everything, but when you go to the temple, church and everything, where Jesus is my savior, for example, he will help me out. Or Allah will come and help me out upon my last day, after my death and everything. Or any of the God will help me out, or certain heavenly angels will come and help me out when I'm in trouble. Everybody's dependent on some entity. Any world religion, any world's philosophy you take it, there is dependency. This is only the religion, only the philosophy which says that there is independence of every substance, not only every substance, all the attributes, not only all the attributes, but even the modes, not only the modes, but origination of the mode and cessation of the mode and constancy of the mode, Utpad, Vyay, Dhruv. They are also independent. In one samay, one mode originates and disintegrates and also remains constancy. So those 3 events are also independent. No event depends on the other guy. So this is the highest, highest form of independence that Jainism describes. And so, therefore, I am the responsible for my deeds. It's a hot coffee falls on my leg and I get burned, and I sue McDonald's because they did not write on the cup that hot coffee can make me burn. So they are responsible, not me. Where is my independence? I am responsible for my act. If I do good, I get a good. If I do bad, I get bad. I am responsible. Nobody else is responsible. Independence is with me. So those are the independence of a soul as a substance, attribute or infinite attribute, and modes, and in the modes also origination, cessation, everything is independent event. Now, so modal point of view, now we are going to see what is modal point of view. To understand, this is the soul substance, and I'm from outside, I'm entering to the soul substance. This is a soul substance periphery, and I'm entering in that the modus operandi of the soul substance. Once I'm entering into it, I see two things: substantial point of view and modal point of view. So first I have to understand modal point of view, and then I'll go to the substantial point of view. So what is modal point of view? From external gross alien perspective, sthul drashti thi જોઈએ to, means this is the soul substance here, and I'm standing over here from external alien gross perspective. I'm looking at the soul substance. I'm looking towards this soul substance. Suppose this is a soul substance. So I am in the periphery, I'm outside, and I'm looking from outside to see what is the soul is doing. So when one comes near the bondage mode, when the bondage mode, when there is a bondage mode, there is present since time infinite in the past. That bondage mode is supposed to be present since time infinite in the past. Now, then this nine real state is true one. Now, what it is, when it says that on the, when I'm looking for the gross perspective, means from a bondage perspective, then this nine real state is a true one. So here is soul substance, and here is the modes occurring every moment, and I'm looking at a modal perspective. Then I can see that nine reals are occurring in my modes and no dependency on anything else. So this is the one, it's called modal perspective, in which I understood what is inclination of attachments mean. What is the inclination of aversion mean? What is what's the impurity occurring within me? What is the state of purity occurring within me? What's the state of partial purity, partial impurity within me? What's the status of complete purity within me? Those are the things. When I'm looking from the modal side, then I say those are the right one, because they are occurring in the soul, they are occurring in the mode, they are not dependent on anybody else, they are coming with their own eligibility, everything. So now I accept that one. So these modes do exist, and I come to that conclusion that the modes do exist. It's not that I can just say modes are not there at all, ignore. They are present. They are present. Their presence is accepted, and then I'm making them separate. I don't say they are not there at all. No, they are present, but I make them secondary. Experiencing of these modes is the true thing when one looks at them from modal point of view. This mode, right now, I have a mode of the rag, and I'm experiencing status of rag right now within me. I'm experiencing status of dvesh within me right now. I'm experiencing inclination of attachment within me. I'm experiencing inclination of aversion within me. Those are I'm experiencing. I'm experiencing beginning of purity within me. I'm experiencing increasing purity within me. All those changes that I'm looking at it, they're called modal point of view, because my attention is focused on the mode right now. Now, Acharya Bhagwan says, okay, so far you understand modes, so far you understand how the mode is generated, so far you understand what is a modal status. Now I'm going to take it to the substantial point of view. In the same substance, now I'm going to take it. So when one cultivates his substantial vision, now my modal vision, I'm taking it slowly, I'm taking it away from the mode. And now I bring my attention to my eternal soul substance. So then the modal state are not true one. When I'm looking at substantial vision, when I'm looking at the eternal soul substance, when I do that kind of activity, then the activity of modes within me becomes secondary in nature. And because they are secondary and eternal soul substance is primary, so this one I can say they are not true. From modal perspective, each mode is a true one. But when I'm looking from substantial perspective, this modal perspective becomes untrue in nature, even though they are present. See, this is a very important take-home message, that when the mode is there, it occurred within me. I accepted that one. So I understood the nature of myself, why I became angry, why I become egoistic, why I become crooked person, why do I become ragi, why do I become dveshi. I understood that one very well, but Acharya Bhagavan says, okay, now you understood. Take your attention away and bring it to eternal soul substance. When I'm bringing to my vision to the eternal soul substance, at that time, this modal state, even though modes are present, they become secondary in nature. They're not neglected, they are just simply made secondary in nature. When experiencing eternal true nature of the self, then a divisional aspect of nine reals becomes secondary, and thereby they are called untrue. See, this sentence is very important for us to understand, that they are made secondary and thereby untrue. They are present. Their existence is not denied. But when I'm compared to the eternal soul substance as primary event, then this modal point becomes secondary event, and thereby it's untrue. This phone belongs to me. Is it belonging to you? No. So if you say this is your phone, then it's a totally untrue statement, because it never was yours. But here, this mode occurs within me. When with my modal point of view, I accepted this mode as true state in a modal view. Now, when I bring the substantial point of view, means I'm bringing my attention to the eternal soul substance, then these modes, even though they are present, they become secondary, and thereby they are untrue. That's what I can say. I don't have $1 million, means I don't have it, period. But here, I have $1 million, but I also have $1 billion. When I have billion, then million becomes secondary in nature. It's there, but it becomes kind of untrue. That at the time I'll be called billionaire. I won't be called millionaire at the time. So that's what it tries to tell us over here. The substantial view, when you go for it, then modal view, modal modes are present, but they are to be made untrue. Made to be secondary untrue. For example, on a blackboard, I draw one line, and I tell you, without touching that line, without erasing that line, make that line small. How will you do it? I don't have to touch this line at all. It is to be made small. Without touching, what will happen? I will make a big line over here. If I draw a big line, then automatically this is called a smaller line. So here, if I bring the substantial point of view, the big thing, I bring it over here, then my modal view automatically becomes secondary, and that's why they are untrue. Secondary and untrue, that is important, right? Okay. Now, even though 9 reals are present in the mode, simply are made secondary and thereby untrue. So over here we just say mode, over here we are just saying 9 modes. So 9 reals, that they are becoming secondary. Now, violence towards the eternal. How can I do the violence towards my eternal soul, which is there since time infinite in the past? It will remain with me forever and ever and ever. How do I do violence towards this eternal soul? Well, what happens? When increase of attachment occurs, increase of attachment state occurs, that means one has taken his vision away from the eternal soul. When out of those two small line and big line, this small line is over here. And when I pay attention to the small line, then my attention to the big line is gone. So when I looking for the increase of attachment state, then my eternal soul substance, my vision is now, it is disturbed from there. Now, instead of experiencing eternal soul substance, now one has reflective thought, and that is called increase of attachment state, means it's called rag state. Means whenever I look at the mode, whenever I'm looking at my mode, whenever I'm angry, I'm deceit, I'm ego, I'm having ego, I have a greed, and all those states, when I give importance to that, well, I mean, I know so many things, so, I mean, community should respect me. That kind of greed occurs within me. Well, I know all these things and they don't give a damn for me. That means I'm angry with them. So that means I'm angry means I am just looking at my model state. Gurudev Sri, one time on the Kshamavani day, on the forbearance day, forgiveness day, he said extremely important statement. He said that if this soul, means Gurudev said, if this soul means me, Gurudev said, if I have seen anybody, any living being or any substance from the modal perspective, then I'm asking for forgiveness from them. Means even the bacteria has a soul, can become liberated soul, or 1 sense, 2 sense, 3 sense, 4 sense, or 5 sense animals, or a heavenly soul, or a hellish soul, or human being, they all have a capacity to be liberated soul, and they all are eternal soul substance. Everybody has it. So if you look from eternal soul's perspective, everybody is same in nature. There is no ego, there is nobody small, nobody's big. There is no reason for one to become angry, because everybody is same. I am not having anything less than you, you don't have anything less than me, and all things like that. So instead of experiencing true nature, now if I'm in true nature of self, if I'm looking at the reflective thought or modal vision, then my rag occurs. That means I am in a disturbed state. When rag is present, that means substantial vision is absent. When I am involved with my anger, when I'm involved with my ego, deceit, greed, that when I'm involved with my rag and dvesh, that means I am not looking at my eternal soul substance, and that is my violence towards my eternal soul substance. When one takes refuge in the reflective thought, then he has committed violence towards his eternal self. So this is the definition, true definition given for non-violence. I am practicing non-violence, and I am a Jain, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that and all kind of things. I just go on the TV, I can go on the radio and everything. I can just announce all those things. But if I have the anger, deceit, ego, greed, rag, dvesh within me, that means I'm having the modal vision. That means I'm away from my eternal soul substance's perspective. That means I have done violence towards my eternal soul substance. And that is the definition of real violence. Just because I have a means available and somebody is in need of it, and I shared my wealth, I shared my water, I shared my food, I shared my shelter with somebody, means I'm a passionate guy. I'm just kind of a very, very, very mild natured guy. That means I did help that person. I did help to quench his thirst or to let his hunger settle down or give him rest under my roof and everything. That kind of model vision, when I have it, that means I'm not with my substantial vision. That means I am showing violence towards my soul, in spite of me showing compassionate nature toward the alien objects of the universe. So this is true definition of non-violence that we have to understand. And once we understand that true definition of non-violence, then I know I have a lot more way to go. Just because I'm compassionate means nothing. It's good. You have to do that. But because I'm compassionate and other guy is not, so I'm better than him and I'm a religious person, that is the euphoria I have it, and I should remove that euphoria. Does not mean I should not do those activity. I should do it, but should not take undue credit for that. A clerk in the bank is counting millions of dollars throughout the day. At the end of the day, there is not a single mistake of 1 cent also. He does that kind of absolute work. But he has no affinity for those millions of dollars that he counted, and he worked with that. Even though he has counted, even though he has done his job perfectly, even though he has not made any mistake, but he has no affinity for those things. Only affinity he has is 2 weeks down the road, whatever paycheck he gets, he wants to make sure it gets deposited in his account properly and things like that. So that's only his affinity. But this millions of dollars he counts, never makes mistake, but he has no affinity for that. So same thing that we have to do it, that I have to do the good job, I do. Bad job, no religion of the world will say that you do the bad job. You do good activity, but good activity you do, but don't take credit for that. Just like that clerk in the bank. There's a lady, this is a servant, and she's working into the palace. And in olden times, there was a kind of unwritten rule that the queen, when she gives birth to the child, she will not give the breastfeeding to the child. It will be this hired nurse or hired servant, that she will give the milk to this prince. Now, imagine this lady right now, servant lady, is feeding the milk to this prince, breastfeeding this prince right now. She is doing her duty perfectly, but she has no attachment towards the child because that's a prince and I'm a servant. I'm just doing my duty. On the other side of the coin, that same lady goes home in the evening and now she's breastfeeding her own child. How much compassion she has for that child of her own. So when she's working in the palace, she's showing compassion, but she's kind of detached from all those things. When she comes home with the own child, she's showing all kind of attachment to the child and everything. Same way, when you do the good job, you do the donation, you do the austerity, you go to the temple, you just do the cleaning of the temple, all kind of activity you do, never take any credit for that, because taking credit and everything, that means you are in the model vision. So that's what the point is over here. Now, when one looks at from the gross perspective, the experience of the unity of the soul and increase of attachment state, he experiences that one in modal state. In a modal vision, he is experiencing his unity of the soul and the increase of attachment state. This relation is there forever since time infinite, and that means I am the transmigratory soul. I am the soul and attached with my increase of attachment state, And that's why I keep on rotating in the transmigratory cycle of misery since time infinite with these all four realms of existence. I could be an animal, I could be plant, I could be hellish soul, I could be heavenly soul, I could be human being, and I keep on doing this one time and time again and again and again and again since time infinite in the past. Then the living being ends up experiencing 9 elements. Because of these things, with these modal experiences, I'm experiencing 9 elements. Now, these 9 elements, experiencing of them in a modal state is a true state, because now I know I am the reason for these 9 elements. And when there is an auspicious inclination, it stays there. And when there is a stoppage of the element, it is different. And shading element is different. And I understand those 9 elements in their own fashion. They do exist, and I accept their existence. But it's a modal experience. I know that part. It's a conventional perspective. So these are conventional perspective of these 9 elements. Knowing the 9 elements is conventional perspective. See, if you go through the Tattvat Sutra, they will be just saying that Samyak Darshan means to understand 9 elements. And over here, understanding 9 elements, it says it's a conventional perspective only. And conventional perspective does not mean Samyak Darshan. Samyak Darshan means a self-realization is occurring only in the absolute phase, not conventional perspective. In the absolute perspective, there is experiencing of the soul occurs, which is called Samyak Darshan. So first I understand 9 elements the way they are. Then I take my attention away from them and bring it to eternal soul substance. Then I get an experiencing phase. So that's what Tattva Sutra means. So we can't just go on hung up to that and say, wait a second, one scripture says this, other scripture says that, and I'm getting confused. I don't know what's happening. That's why I don't want to know all that. I don't want to learn philosophy and everything. No. I have to have the discriminating mind within me to see that elements, 9 elements, to know the way they are. It is a conventional perspective. And now I have to go beyond that conventional perspective and to see who is hidden behind that 9 elements. And that hidden element is my eternal soul substance. When I look at that, that means it's a Samyak Darshan. True vision. One looks from the finer perspective. When one brings his attention to the eternal soul substance, then only all knower indivisible soul substance comes in experience. The eternal true self is manifested now, and this is a true state. So these are things we have gone several times, especially in the 6th and 7th stanza. We have gone in detail. That's why we are just going faster on these slides, everything, because my final perspective or true vision are to bring my attention to the eternal soul substance and make my modal vision secondary. Divisions of 9 reals are not perceived in this state. When I'm having this attention to the eternal soul substance, then 9 reals are there, but they are not getting perceived. They're not getting perceived because I am important. For example, let's say there is a groom going to the wedding. He's coming to the bride's place. Everything is going on. Music is going on. Dancing is going on. Lights are going on. The good food is going on. Flowers are there. All kind of things are there. What does the groom perceive at that time? Does he perceive that he is sitting in the convertible Mercedes? Does he perceive that there are so many people dancing and everything? What does he perceive? He just perceives, he has a narrow vision that where is my loved one? When is she coming out? That is his total true vision is there. Everything else being going on around, but he makes them secondary. He has a tunnel vision that this is my loved one is coming and I'm going to get married to her and I'm going to have a happiness. That kind of thing is there when everything else is present but not perceived. So modal state is present but it's not perceived, made secondary, just like the groom makes everything else secondary and attention is focused only primary to her, to his loved one. Modal perspective becomes that means modal perspective becomes untrue state because they are not perceived. They are existing but they are not perceived, and that's why they are untrue state. Division of the 9 elements are present from modal perspective. Again, remember some of the things coming again and again because Gurudev repeats these things again and again because he knows that these are extremely important things for any person to. So he just says what is the most important thing we have to take home message, and so he will Gurudev will describe several times, and then he will hit the main subject again and again to make sure that we understand it very well. Divisions of 9 elements are present in modal perspective. They are true state from modal perspective, but one cannot get right faith with modal perspective, and only experiencing of all knower true, eternal, indivisible state brings the right faith. So, knowing the nine reals from modal perspective does not mean I'll get this right faith. Only behind those 9 elements, there is an eternal soul substance is hidden, and to put attention to that one can bring the right faith to me. There is a word used vikar in the deluding state. Vikar means the altered state or deluding state. That's a generally used word vikar. But over here, it is used in different perspective. Here word vikar is used to describe the modal division. Gurudev, when he is giving pravachan, then he is using that this is a vikar. Vikar means my altered state or deluding state. But he says, no, over here, the particular word is used for looking at modal division. It could be a pure mode, completely pure mode, partial pure mode, or impure mode. Any of those combination of modes, we are using the word vikar. Amrit Chandra Acharya Dev has used the word vikar. Vikar does not mean deluding state. Vikar can be a pure state also. So again, which word is used where we have to have proper guidance, proper understanding. Otherwise, if I say I have a vikar and I have a pure mode within me, wait a second, vikar means deluding state and you are taking pure mode. Why you are doing this kind of thing? Because there is another meaning for that word. Here it means modal division of 9 elements. So 9 elements of modal divisions are labeled as vikar in this stanza. Reason for divisions are considered as 9 elements, including stoppage, shading, and liberation. So all those things, stoppage, shading, liberation, are also called vikar, means divisions. Vikar means divisions. Therefore, samvar, nidra, and moksha are also called vikar over here. So when the word vikar comes, we don't have to get a kind of unnecessarily confused about it. Vikar over here means modal perspective, pure mode, partial pure mode, impure mode, whatever that thing is, the word vikar is used over here. Now, mode ends up performing a specific act, means it is called vishesh karya. When mode is performing an act, any mode of any act, that is called a specific act. So I am talking right now. That's means while I'm talking, me as a soul is just in a auspice, in a influence of attachment state, thinking that maybe this kind of word come out, it's okay. That is my vishesh karya, means specific act. Now, for that to happen, The instrumental cause is the non-living material karma. Whenever any changes are occurring in my mode, me as a soul having any mode, pure mode, partial pure mode, partial impure mode, or completely impure mode, whatever is there, at that time, the instrumental cause is called non-living material karma. You know that part. Okay, now, instrumental cause in the form of presence or absence. Again, that point we are just bringing it, that instrumental cause can be present, instrumental cause can be absent. So Siddha Bhagwan has a pure mode. We are using the mode, right? So there has to have instrumental cause in the form of presence or absence of fruition of karma. Siddha Bhagwan is a pure mode. That means there is no karma fruition present. So absence of karma is an instrumental cause. So let's say Siddha Bhagwan is 10 modes we are taking. 1 to 10 modes we are taking in Siddha Bhagwan. First mode, arising, and it says, hey, who is my instrumental cause? Well, karma says, me as an absent karma is instrumental cause. Okay, then I'm okay. That's mode says. Second event hacker, second samay. I'm the pure mode. Who is the instrumental cause? Karma being absent as an instrumental cause. Okay, the act is getting done. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So all the modes, each mode, every samay, in that one samay, there is a presence of Siddha Bhagwan's pure mode and absence of karma as an instrumental cause. In us right now, I have a rag and dvesh. I have an impure mode. When an impure mode is arising, then mode says, hey, who is instrumental cause? And karma fruition says, I'm over here. So that is acting as a presence of karma as an instrumental cause. So in modal division, instrumental cause of karma is considered, and they are thereby the divisions are perceived because of the instrumental cause being present, that we are perceiving divisions. Instrumental cause are the presence or absence perspective, means sadbhav or adbhav or abhav apeksha. Sadbhav means presence and abhav means absence perspective. For a presence perspective, auspicious inclination, inauspicious inclination, inflow, and bondage elements are considered, because with those four guys, there is a karma fruition present. For auspicious inclination, shubh bhav; inauspicious inclination, ashubh bhav; inflow means asrav; bondage means band. So shubh, ashubh, band, asrav, band, all those four stages, the karma fruition is present. But for absence perspective, stoppage, shading and liberation, samvar, nijra, moksha, that is occurring into the soul substance, means of purity generating, purity increasing, and purity is completing. At that time, karma fruition is present in the form of absence. So there is an absence of karma fruition, and at that time, soul is having these three modes are occurring. So we have karma perspective having instrumental cause as a presence or absence we have to consider. This is really a brilliant way of presentation, in which even Siddha Bhagwan's mode also nobody can raise the question. And in the lowest form of life, Nigod also, nobody can raise the question that what about instrumental cause? If you just say that, it should be universally true. And so this makes it universally true. So there's our heads are off to our Acharya Bhagwan and Tirthankar Bhagwan, who have given us this kind of understanding to us to understand the real nature. For auspicious inclination, inauspicious inclination, bondage, and inflow, one considers presence of karma as relativity point, means sadbhav rup sapekshta. Relativity is there. The mode is occurring within me. Within me, the mode is occurring, and there is a presence of karma. It is occurring as a relativity point over here. Now, in this stoppage, shedding, and liberation, one considers absence of karma as relativity point. So that relativity is there, and because those things are both are acting at the same time, both are occurring at the same time, that we do see an act getting generated. So to act to get generated, there has to be principal cause in the form of soul's mode and instrumental cause in the form of karma's presence or absence, and the act is getting perceived. When one considers from relativistic point, then the inherent nature is not considered. This is a very important point Acharya Bhagwan is throwing over here, Gurudev is throwing over here. So let's discuss that a little bit so that we understand. What it says, relativity point. Over here, I just said relativity point. This is my relativity in the form of karma's presence. Relativity in the form of karma being absent. So these are the things I'm seeing. One second. Okay. So here, my karma's presence is relativity point. Karma's absence is relativity point. When I'm taking relativity point, that means I am talking two different things is present. And then I come out with the understanding that nothing can happen if these two guys are not there. Okay? But that's from relativity point of view. But when we consider from when we are considering from this relativity point of view, then the inherent nature is getting a secondary thing in the time. Inherent nature means what? Inherent nature means independence. Inherent nature means without any support from anybody, things are the event is occurring. For example, eternal soul substance present in the nigot cell, or eternal soul substance present in the Siddha Bhagwan, and in between all the other living beings, the eternal soul substance is pure and independent and is never dependent on anything else. They are of their own, pure forever. There is no relativity at all there. The infinite attributes within me. I have a knowledge attribute, I have a faith attribute, I have a conduct attribute, I have eternal existence attribute, and so on and so forth. All these attributes occurring within the soul substance, they are independent. Soul, the knowledge attribute does not depend on a faith attribute. Faith attribute does not depend on conduct attribute. Conduct attribute does not depend on the bliss attribute. So they are also independent. They're non-relativistic. They're independent. Only this relativity or non-relativity point comes in the mode only. Sapex and Nirapeks. So those two words we are talking. This mode right now, I have a mode right now, which is a rag mode, increase of attachment mode. If I'm looking from relativity point of view, then over here the karma fruition is present, and that's why I see rag getting generated. It means two guys are together, and that's why I see status of rag expressed somewhere. But if I talk from non-relativistic point of view, in which this mode over here, from this angle when I'm looking, that means there is a rag is present because there is fruition of karma. But same rag when I'm looking from this angle, in the sense I'm saying that this mode of me in the soul got originated because it was supposed to come that time, because it was independent, because it was not dependent on the soul substance, it was not dependent on the attribute, it was not dependent on anything else, it just came by itself. So same mode, from this perspective I'm looking, then that mode is a non-relativistic. But same mode from this perspective, karma fruition perspective I'm looking, then becomes relativistic mode. One event is one, we are looking from two different angles. So this relativity and non-relativity occurring of that's a mainly in the discussed from the modal perspective. This is a very, very, very subtle principle. When Gurudev brought this principle out, the whole the philosophical world became upside down. And they said it can't happen, and they started arguing and all the things. And Gurudev said, don't worry about it. I will give all my references in my reasoning. So now, this mode, again, this mode, and this is very, very delicate point, so please pay attention. This mode, looking from one perspective, from the origination of the mode occurring by its own birth time, occurring because it was supposed to happen at the time. So that is a non-relativistic point of view of this mode right now when I'm looking from this angle. But now same mode, I'm looking from this angle in which there's a fruition of karma is present, and because of fruition of karma, this mode now is getting expressed, and so that is called relativistic point. So one angle, same mode is called relativistic, from other angle it is called non-relativistic. When I say non-relativistic, means that mode is independent, that mode occurred by itself, that mode has no dependency on anybody else, and because of that thing, that mode is called to have its parinamic bhav, means its inherent nature. This mode was supposed to occur by itself, and it has not paid attention to the soul substance or the attribute or the instrumental cause or any alien object or anything in the universe. It just says, I'm supposed to occur, so that's why I'm occurring. Infinite times before, we have sets of 24 Bhagwans right now occurred on this time cycle, but infinite 24 sets of Bhagwan occurred in the past, and for that kind of event I am still existing. And at that time, that particular at that time, all my modes are supposed to come in sequential order. So at that time, let's say that the infinite time before, there was a protege of Mahavir at the time, and he was being asked that, listen, what will happen to this soul at this point, in the sense 9 o'clock and 18 minutes Eastern time on Wednesday, May 9th, what will be the modes of that soul? So time infinite in the past, it was said this kind of mode will be occurring at this time. So it was to occur independently without anybody else interfering in the generation. So that mode occurred because of its own sequential order was supposed to occur. Independently it occurred, and that's why it is called independently or non-relativistic. And the other word in the scripture used for non-relativistic is called nirapekshta. Non-relativistic means nirpekshta, inherent nature. It was to happen. So this is me as a mode has this inherent nature to be in this form at this point. That's it. After this one Samay is gone, this mode goes back into the soul substance and stays there with the stamp of that eligibility and remains there forever. It was there from before with the eligibility stamp forever. It will remain there in the future forever in the eligibility stamp in the soul substance. Only particular time here it got generated. So when it got generated by itself, independently, without dependence on anybody else, that means it is called mode's inherent nature, mode's independent nature. In anything, when we say inherent nature or independent nature, then the other word used is called parinamic bhav. Parinamic bhav is non-dependent on anything else. So that's a parinamic bhav of the mode we are talking right now. So this is a very important point, and by putting this point in the pravachan, Gurudev subtly he opened up the new chapter for us and says, listen, I talk about parinamic bhav, and that's all I'm talking. And suddenly he says, it's your duty to understand what this parinamic bhav means, what the inherent nature means. So now it is our responsibility to find it out, what is this parinamic bhav, what is this inherent nature, and that's what we have to discuss that one. Now, ask me a question, or let me just finish again, repeat certain point. The soul substance independent, attributes independent, all the universal substance in the universe are independent, all the attributes independent. Now when we come to the mode, that mode has two things seen. From one perspective, it is a dependency on the instrumental cause. From other perspective, there is no dependency, but it comes out by itself. So by itself means inherent nature or independent nature. From this side, when I'm looking, it's a dependency nature on the instrumental cause. For example, let's say that for example, at this point, I am supposed to be in particular mode right now. When was it decided? It was there forever, and that mode was sitting in my soul substance with the eligibility stamp, and it is there decided time infinite before it was there. It is there forever and ever and ever. It is hidden in my soul substance. Now this time comes and it gets generated, because this is the birth time for that mode right now. Birth time is there, so it gets generated. Now, remember, infinite times we are talking in the past. It was supposed to happen this way only, and now it got generated this way. Now, this mode got generated, and also I have a fruition of karma also acting as instrumental cause. Fruition of karma, how long the longest amount of karma can stay with the soul substance. If I make certain kind of activity right now, certain kind of thought process right now, then I can have the maximum bondage of that karma occurring within me, and that can go for 70 kroda krodi sagropam. Means my deluding karma, bear with me, I'm not diverging myself. This I'm coming to the point. The deluding karma material karma which can stuck to me can stay up to 70 kroda krodi sagropam years, huge amount of time in terms of years and everything if you consider. But when I'm talking eternity in the past and eternity in the future, I am existing since time eternal in the past. Eternity time and 70 kroda krodi types of deluding karma, that is not even peanut. That's not even drop in the ocean. Once again, my mode was there, decided to be in particular form, time infinite back. And 70 kroda krodi sagropam, which is a peanut time, a droplet into the ocean, for example. So those karma came into attachment of my soul only the very short time back. So when this mode was decided to be in the rag mode, there was no karma present, that kind of karma. Now when I'm originating in this rag form, then the karma fruition is occurring, which are bonded to me minimal time before only, practically. So my independence is there. I was supposed to act that way, and that's it. Now, from this karma perspective, karma fruition also occurred. So, karma fruition perspective, my mode is relativistic. But from independent nature, if I'm comparing it from the inherent nature of the mode I'm comparing, then this mode occurred because of its own birth time. So that point has to be clear in our mind. Nirapekshta and sapekshta. Same event we are talking from two different points. Nirapekshta means mode occurring by itself. Sapekshta means karma fruition is associated with that. So those 2 points are important. And the nirapekshta means inherent nature, means a non-relativistic point, is called parinamic bhav. Once again, independence, non-relativistic, inherent nature of any substance or mode or attribute is called parinamic bhav. Substance exists forever without any interference by anybody else, parinamic bhav. Attributes exist without any interference by anybody else, they exist independently, the parinamic bhav. Mode occurs by its own birth time independently, so it's parinamic bhav, means it's non-relativistic nature. So non-relativistic nature is very important. That's called parinamic bhav. And soul has a parinamic bhav, the attribute has a parinamic bhav, and the mode has a parinamic bhav. And to differentiate from all those things and every other matter, medium of motion, medium of rest, space and time, everybody has this parinamic bhav. To separate the eternal soul substance from everybody else, we are using the word param parinamic bhav, means a really inherent nature of the soul at the time. So those are the things. This one, I think we'll take a rest over here. We have a few minutes remaining. So if there is question on this point or any other point from today, please ask questions. It's very important that we understand, because next week we'll be going through all those 5 bhavs, you know. Any questions, please? Anybody?
I don't have it.
It's clear.
It's clear. Okay, very good, very nice. I'm glad. I'm glad. You know, because this is a very delicate point. And as I said, that when Gurudev came out with this principle on the mode, whole the learned sections of the community, they were up in the arms, and they said this cannot happen, because till that moment, everybody said mode occurs, rag occurs, because there is a presence of a karma fruition. So karma fruition, that's why rag occurred to me. And Gurudev, for the first time ever, he came out with this principle. And now that we think about it, that you think about the boldness of that person, boldness of that soul, that when whole country is going on the other side, and he says, I'm going to walk this side, and this is what the right side is. Come with me if you want to. And today we are able to understand this part of thing because he was the instigator for all these things. So we just are, we are extremely indebted to him that he made all these things available to us that we can understand in our own language. Okay. All right. If there's no questions, then we can do the closing. Okay. जावाणी के ज्ञान से सूझे लोकालोक, सोवाणी मस्तक नमो सदा देता हूँ जो. 9 times Namo Kavach. Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jinendra.
Bye.
See you next Tuesday.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.